Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast will include mature themes and scenes. This actual play uses the Delta Green role-playing game rules by Arc Dream Publishing. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your handler. You're all cordially invited to a night at the opera. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I am your handler for the evening, Michael Diamond, and I am welcoming you to the Old Ways Podcast inaugural episode of Impossible Landscapes, a Delta Green campaign, which we are going to uncork tonight. And so before we get started at the top of the show, as always, I'd like to thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. If you've not had an opportunity to support us on Patreon, you can at patreon.com/the Old Ways Podcast, and you can see what we might have to offer. And so now I'm going to turn to introductions to my right.
Hi, this is Miranda, and I am playing Dr. Aaron Weber, Nest Search member at the NNSA. That's right. That's the National Nuclear Security Administration. I'm also a loving mother of one human and 4 birds.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Weber. To Dr. Weber's right.
Hello, everyone. It's your friend Nate. I'm playing Elliot Winters, Diplomatic Services Special Agent for the U.S. Department of State.
Very good. And next to Mr. Winters.
Hi, I'm Allie, and I play Joanne Hart in the Office of Naval Intel in Virginia.
Very good. And last but most certainly not least.
Hi, my name is Tegan, and I'm playing Brett Hawking. I am Agent Brett Hawking of the NCIS down here in Norfolk, Virginia.
Yes. Hello to all of our listeners in Virginia. Before we raise the curtain tonight, I'd like to share with you something that I read a little while ago. It's short, it's sweet, but it's important. Let the red dawn summarize what we shall do when this blue starlight dies and all is through. It has been several months for each one of you since we last saw you on stage. You have all had an opportunity to do a lot of thinking about the experience that you had. And by and large, your lives have gone back to mostly normal circumstances. Dr. Weber, the government was fit enough to make sure that you had what you needed to relocate to New York. It is a trying experience for both you and your daughter, not to mention the birds, because you can't exactly fly with that many birds. But you do make it to New York City. Elliot, your time afterwards is filled with a lot of questions. Questions that you find difficult ways to deal with. You don't like the idea of being someone's patsy or being somebody who someone else got one over on. That really grinds you. But you do manage to get a few things answered, even if it does leave a few more questions. But for the most part, the past couple months have been fairly steady as far as work goes. Ms. Hart, you are still a little afraid of VHS tapes. But that said, you have gotten very recently we'll just say a communication from someone who is mentioning a serious security concern and is requesting that you find time to come north to New York City to deal with it. There isn't a ton of additional information, but the feeling that you get from that letter tucked under your doorstep is compelling. And Brett, try as you might, you never really do get to the bottom of what happens at that restaurant. Garcia goes back to work. He has a clean record afterwards. You know for a fact that they're going to watch him, but Other than that, there aren't really any other concerns. For you, you get booked on vacation, leave from NCIS without submitting any paperwork. It's mentioned to you one morning. Someone congratulates you on having the next week or so off. When you go back in and check the records room, someone filed to have leave for you. You're going to have to talk to your fiance. There's all sorts of stuff. It gets a little bit more concerning in your mailbox that evening when you get a very similar letter taped to the bottom of an electrical bill. It talks a lot about the problems that started here in Virginia have moved north and that they're going to need you there. One by one, by plane, bus, car. Each one of you eventually makes your way to a place in New York City, an address, a warehouse. The inside of the warehouse is empty. Looks like it has been for years. Some old foundation owned this building at one point. And it's been in receivership and eventually abandoned, it looks like, at least from the outside, since maybe the mid-'80s. The glass outside is cracked. Kids have thrown bricks through it probably and rocks. There's chicken wire up to sort of protect it, but it's long since rusted. The brownstone here is pitted and cracked. The mortar is gray and old, having faded under the New York sun many, many seasons ago. Inside, you find a wooden spool, a big one. It's got to be 3 or 4 feet across. That spool probably once held a significant amount of electrical wire, but it's long since used. It looks like the rickety chairs that are around it have been fashioned to become some sort of lunch table for a warehouse staff that hasn't been around in a decade. And through the dust, each one of you sees that must just be the 4 of you who've shown up at some strange request at about 2 p.m. So what I'd like to do, since we're all one big, happy, crazy family, is get a little rough idea, physically speaking, of what each one of you look like. So that way the others can know, and our audience, our wonderful audience, can know what you look like. Dr. Weber, if you'd start.
Erin is, I would say, a little bit. Oh, I don't even know what an average heighted woman is as a short one myself. So I'm going to say she's about 5'8". She feels solid. Slender, she's got kind of shoulder length brown hair, more of an angular face, but generally a welcoming smile. You can see, though, on her face that she probably burns the candle at both ends. She's a pretty hard worker, married to her job, and it shows beyond the smile on her face.
Interesting. All right, so anything else we would want to know about Dr. Weber as far as what she wears, if there's anything that is definitively seen on the outside?
No, she is, the pantsuit type. This is hard to run in like a skirt. So she's the pantsuit type. Occasionally, there is a couple of shed feathers on her from her birds, maybe stuck on the back of her jacket that she didn't notice when she left. Sometimes if she's working particularly late, she might wake up and rush out to work and there's like one in her hair. But she carries like a medium-sized handbag.
Okay. But she's definitely exudes a professional feel.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
She doesn't wear a lab coat normally, just out and about. But you can definitely picture her in one, and it's almost like a second skin to her because she likes spending time in the lab.
Very, very good. All right, so I guess Agent Winters then.
Elliot's mid-30s at this point. He's white, but he's got a dark complexion from a life spent outside in the sun. Growing up, spent most of it outdoors, moved into the federal agency from more manual work. And it shows. He's got short-cut black hair. He's beginning to streak with some gray, maybe a little bit early. Dark brown eyes, black eyebrows. And he's got these full southern kissable lips. He's, of course, dressed in Department of State dress coat, black dress slacks, white dress shirt, and a dark brown, loosely cut blazer He's been told a couple times that the dark brown blazer and the black dress slacks, maybe that's something to but he's only got 2 blazers, and he's certainly not going to waste money on replacing one when it's perfectly serviceable. Also, it's comfy, and it hides the holster that he's usually required to wear when he's on the job. He's got, of course, a tie. It's a dress coat, and that's required, but it is loosened, and the top button on his dress shirt is open. He's following all the rules that he has to, but, out in the field, as the doctor said, you need a little bit of comfort. You need to be ready to run.
Fair enough. All right, Miss Hart.
I am in my mid-30s, about 5'6". I also wear pantsuits because you can't run in a skirt. It's just not a thing that you can do. And I carry a briefcase. I have shoulder length, kind of wavy blonde hair. I wear glasses. And I kind of hold myself a little more rigid. I'm very cognizant of keeping my back straight and keeping my shoulders back for confidence, because women in my field are not a super prominent thing. So I better make sure that I can stand tall with the best of them.
Okay, very good. And then round us out, if you would, Brett.
So Brett wears blue, white, or tan button-ups with a matching tie. Usually the tie is a little loose. Top button is unbuttoned. Slacks, usually blue or black with a black leather belt, and matching shoes that are always highly polished, but very easily scuffed by the afternoon. The sleeves are always rolled up at least once. Brett hates having his sleeves all the way down properly. Also, it enables him to kind of show off his overseas acquired knockoff Rolex, which is important in black and silver. And also his anchor and bird tattoo that he has on his right wrist. His hair is short but not buzz cut, as if you had a buzz cut but then you let it grow out for about a month. He's got chestnut brown hair, and he wears his badge on his hip, on his belt, along with his sidearm.
And so the players of this act have arrived. I don't want to go through the series in which you all arrive. I will simply say that because of the nature of the warehouse and how large it is easy for the 4 of you to arrive at slightly different times, some early, some probably a lot early, others maybe right on time depending upon New York traffic. But seemingly the 4 of you are in this empty warehouse, roughly 2 o'clock, and you're all by yourself. So you're all alone, just the 4 of you.
Can I ask, what would you say the day and month was?
Today specifically is August 10th. And just as the 4 of you are beginning to sort of coalesce around this wooden table, this spool that has been made into a table, there is a bang, a light metallic bang from the door, probably the screen door behind you.
Dr. Rubber jumps slightly because I imagine she feels very awkward in this situation anyways, with all of these strangers meeting up and not necessarily trusting any of them or why she's here. And then to hear something behind her would startle her.
Dr. Rubber, you see a familiar face, at least you think you do.
Thank goodness.
Relatively fit gentleman, probably about 5'10", 5'11", salt and pepper hair. The last time you saw Agent Dunn, you were in New Mexico.
Well, seeing him here, I don't think bodes well. Or it bodes great, depending on how you look at it.
You all see Agent Dunn.
I think that would make me honestly side-eye the others even more.
Yeah, I take it I'm noticing everybody's body language change when that particular gentleman walks in the room.
Probably. Yeah, you're fairly perceptive. You pick up on that people aren't as uncomfortable as they were when they heard the bang. And there's almost an unsaid acceptance of the fact that someone is walking into this room and they're not being questioned as to who they are. Agent Dunn reaches into his suit coat and pulls out a silvered cigarette case. It has some sort of strange monogram on it. He takes out a cigarette and lights it. You hear the flick of his Zippo from 10 or 15 feet away, and then moments afterwards you smell it's some sort of imported cigarette. It's definitely not domestic. There's a texture to some sort of oily or clove texture to whatever he's smoking. Fantastic, you're all here. Take a seat. Each one of these chairs is covered in a layer of what can only be termed as depressing dust that's been left.
I'd wipe it off with my hand and then wipe my hand on my pants and sit down. The dust is on my pants either way, but this way I'm in control of it.
Yeah, so what I'll end up doing is I'll actually end up taking off my jacket blazer thing, and I'll just sit down and then drape that over my lap to prevent any further dust that might come from people sitting in the chairs on the front of my pants. At least I can handle it on the back. I don't have to look at it right away.
As far as I can tell, we haven't actually exchanged a single word. So my question would be, does Joanne and does Dr. Weber, do they look like federal agents in their pantsuits? Like, because I can see Brett's badge. He wears it on his belt.
Dr. Erin Weber does not carry herself with the air of a federal agent, no.
Okay.
I technically do. I just don't have a badge to carry that I'm allowed to let people have.
Because Elliot looks 100%. So I think I'd stand behind a chair and give Dunn a look and wait. Because I'm not quite sure what this is about yet.
He takes another drag on the cigarette and sort of rubs his weathered forehead with two fingers, index and middle, as he's sort of letting this pungent cigarette burn. He says, just sit down. It'll be all right as long as you're all in.
All into what?
I'll get into it in a second.
I'll take my jacket off, put it on the dirty ass seat. I'll unclip the snap on my shoulder holster. I'll sit down.
I honestly can't believe you're wearing a jacket in August in New York.
It's dress code, agent.
Hey, good on you.
Right off the bat, as quickly as I can. Nobody in this room has to know who each other is. It might be better that way. You're all highly intelligent. You've all had your own experiences so far. I am going to say some things, and it's going to be important that you listen to me. There's a situation here in the city. It's not good. We have a job to do. That job is to make sure that what's happening is stopped. And at that point, that's all I know. I have a contact here in the city that you're going to work through. His name is Marcus. You're going to meet Marcus at Washington Square Park, 4 o'clock. He's on the inside. He's on the up and up as far as what we do, but he doesn't want to know your name. He doesn't want to know what you do. He's a little paranoid, but that can be a good thing. Keeps people safe. The reason I called you here is to say goodbye. I'm not going to be involved in this operation. I can't give you a number to reach me or an email. I've been told to walk away. And when I get orders from people who tell me to walk away, I listen. So that's what I'm doing.
All right, man, you're inspiring a ton of confidence in me. I really appreciate you. You don't reach out for months and then I get called to come up here. I get leave put in for me and I'm here, and then you're just jetting.
Oh yeah. Enjoy your vacation though.
All right, man. All right.
Familiarize yourself with each other, except for your names. Talk about what you do. Talk about where your specialties are. There's a box in the back of the warehouse here. Consider it a parting gift. It's the best I could do on short notice.
Don, I'm having a real hard time figuring out if this is deep undercover or if this is TV show bullshit. It's given me a feeling of both at once. Is this sanctioned? Is this an actual op, or is this extracurricular? What am I supposed to tell the people that I report to?
Tell me you went to the doctor today and you got diagnosed with mono.
All right. When are we meeting this Marcus?
4:00. Washington Square Park.
Okay. Got it. What time is it right now? Out of character.
It's just a little after 2:00. Might take you a little while to get over there. As for your question about whether it's sanctioned or not, it's definitely sanctioned by the people who matter.
Oh, for Christ's sake, man. What does that even mean?
It means the less you know about what goes on upstairs, the better you are.
Do you know how long we're going to be here? How about that?
A couple of days, from what I understand. 3 or 4 days. That's why I said, call the office, tell me you have mono. You'll be out at least a week.
I just want to know how long and how dangerous.
I don't know anything about what Marcus is going to ask you to do. But I do know this. He's the real deal.
And you're not?
And I'm not what?
The real deal. You're the one who basically recruited all of us.
That's my job.
Oh, he went around and recruited all of you. So you all know this guy.
Well, yeah.
I assume that's why we're all here.
I think knowing him is a little bit of a stretch. We had a small operation.
That's really special of you two. Really, really fucking special of you two. All right, that's fine. Hey, you can see where I'm from and what I do. You can see my badge. All right? I'm putting it away now. And I'm putting it in my pocket.
Smart man.
Does anyone have questions about what I've got going on here? Who's next?
I work for the National Nuclear Security Administration with the NEST Search Group. I'm a doctor, PhD chemistry.
I specialize in languages.
Yes, I work for the Department of State. I think that's fine. Dunn, is this related to the business that we engage? Is this a carry-on with that?
That's my assumption.
Wait, hold on a second. This dude over here says he works for the State Department.
Yes, Agent.
All right. So when you say State Department and you wink, we all know what that means.
No, Agent, I didn't wink. I didn't wink at all. I work for the Department of State. U.S. Department of State, sir.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure, you'll all do fine. Enjoy the box.
If I look around, do I see a box? Is there like a literal box that he's talking about?
Yeah. So back in the deeper portion of the warehouse, basically to your right, there is what looks like a toolbox. I don't know how familiar you are with them, but this is like a job box that we brought to a construction site. So it's a big toolbox basically that has a roll up or a lift up front where all of the tools will go in. It's metal on the outside and it's sort of this faded green, looks like it's been on a few jobs before. It's got wheels, but it's supremely heavy. Probably just the box alone probably weighs 500 or 600 pounds.
Is Dunn standing around while
He's making his way out.
he's disappeared into the shadows?
Oh yeah.
That's fine. Let's go crack this box.
So the box is open. The front is in the top end lifted by hinges. So there's this groan from the hinges as it comes up.
So it's like a tackle box.
Sort of. It's sort of like a tackle box, yeah, except that it's much larger than that, and it's made of metal. Inside, there are a variety of things. It looks like there are 2 or 3 sets of what look like body armor, flak vests. So this would be, for those of you in the agent field, this would be pretty standard issue police or federal marshal style body armor. There's no insignias on them, but they do have the Velcro pouches that are nearby. So they actually can be customized to the person. Find a flat of water bottles. You find 2 large boxes that are nearby that are marked Remington. They look like they're shotguns. You find a little bit of what you think, Doctor, is chemical testing equipment. So it's like in boxes. It's probably from like the early 90s. You're not sure in what state it's in, but there does seem to be some sort of chemical kit here. And then beyond that, there are rounds of ammunition for the shotgun and a couple of first aid kits.
This is just a thought that Dr. Aaron Weber is having right now. Did Adam move too? Like, is he in New York or is he gone?
Oh no, Adam moved too.
Oh, thank God. Okay, because otherwise I had no idea. I was going to have to find childcare in a new city. Ugh, horrible. Good, I can just pawn the kid off on her dad.
Are there any handguns in the green box?
Dig around a little bit and you find a few 45 caliber handguns.
Okay, I'm going to grab one of those and some ammo.
I will take the chemical testing stuff.
So you all exit the warehouse at some point, and you're going to get a cab, yes, or take someone's vehicle.
I might drive my own, my service vehicle that I drove to the warehouse.
I got a rental.
You do have a rental, yes.
Yes, I have my car too.
Yeah, so I guess my question then is anyone taking the shotguns? And if so, where are they putting them?
I'm not taking a gun.
Okay.
I'm not taking a shotgun.
All right, well, I guess I'm taking all of the weapons I can carry and putting them in my trunk.
I'm not great with a gun, but if you want me to have one in my trunk, I can.
I guess we're cleaning out the box.
I'll take whatever's left over that will fit in my trunk.
I can put them all in the agency trunk. There's no problem here. It's not like I can get arrested for this. Yeah. Handler Mike, does this stuff look legit? Or does it look like it fell off some arms dealer's warehouse shipment as they were heading out? Like packed in oil and grease in legit cases, or?
Packed in legit cases, have been oiled. There's the shotguns are wrapped too. They're kept well. They're kept as if they would be someone be keeping them for some period of time here. The weapons are Remington. They appear to be made in the USA. There does not appear to be any sort of legal serial code attached to them. There's nothing. All that stuff has been filed nice and smooth and repainted off.
I don't know about you, but what this stuff reminds me of most is a DEA raid hall that got recommissioned. So you all make your own choices and govern yourselves accordingly. I'll put a loadout in the trunk.
Okay, fair enough. So you're all going to Washington Square separately then, yes?
I guess so, because I'm going to have to rent a cab.
Well, if you can ride with me if you want.
So Washington Square Park is not terribly far from New York University. It is also a pretty swanky area of town, all things considered. Fifth Avenue, that sort of thing. Washington Square Park is big and boisterous, and on today, that is also the case. So it's almost a carnival atmosphere here. You have musicians, you have street entertainers, you've got all sorts of different entertainment going on here. Musicians, as I mentioned, but then also there is a series of what look like carnival acts here, and there are street vendors, and there's also probably a few, more than a handful of people who some of you in your other life might be wanting to give a real jaundiced eye at. But that said, that's not what you're here to do today. At least it doesn't seem that way. So you get there. You're walking around Washington Square. Are you walking as a group of four, or have you sort of separated off a little bit?
Hell no, I'm not walking around as a group. I'm buying a hot dog. Have I been given a description of this individual?
Nope.
All right, well then I'm going to buy a hot dog. They can find me.
Agent, before y'all leave, do you have a phone by chance? I can give you my phone number. Y'all have phones at all, or?
I'll take your phone number on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Okay, Spooky. Let's and I hand my phone number to you, and I'll hand out my Nokia phone number to each of you, and then I'm going to head right over towards the chess tables because I've watched enough spy movies to know that's where the action's at. Washington Park, it's the chess tables.
Sure. You head over there. You have to cut through some jugglers and a clown who seem to be out. Brett, you get your hot dog. It's pretty good, all things considered. When you turn around after getting your hot dog, you have to stop very abruptly because there is a 6 or 7-year-old kid that ducks right in front of you to get a ball. And so you nearly trip over, nearly collide with this kid who pays you zero mind. You see that there's a wave of motion going through the crowd as you look back up. Now, keep in mind, it's not just entertainment here, but there's also tourists. So it's summer, and so there's definitely tourists out, probably families who are trying to get their last vacation before they have to go back and get kids in school. So that accounts for a ton of the crowd that's here too. And one of the clowns you see, Brett, has a beautiful and elegant, what you think is maybe a kite. It's some sort of abstract creature. Maybe it's a bird. And the clown seems to be weaving its way through a portion of the crowd, going up and over towards where the Washington Square Arc is. He just catches your eye for a second.
I mean, is he weird? Or is he just a kid, right?
No, this is a clown that has this sort of kite in the air that's running around. The kid is just a kid, and he's gotten his ball and is going back to playing dodgeball or whatever it is that they were doing with a group of kids by the pool.
Yeah. If this wasn't broad daylight, that description would be creepy.
Right. It is, in fact, broad daylight. It's 4:00, so the nice part about it being August is that you've got quite a few hours left of daylight.
I didn't get any mustard on my shirt, though, right?
No, you double check. You're good.
Okay, good. That's the most important thing.
You hear a voice behind you that says, "You all right?"
I turn around and I see who's addressing me.
You see a middle-aged man. He's got a very slight beard, mostly a goatee, pretty popular these days. Glasses, black with a little bit of gray in his hair. He looks like he could be an ophthalmologist.
That's cool. Brett doesn't understand what that word means.
He nods at you and says, "You're here looking for me."
You Marcus?
He nods.
All right.
The hot dogs are pretty good. You should enjoy that. Follow me, though.
I follow him.
So I'm sitting on a bench reading an abandoned newspaper because this is totally something that realistically happens all the time.
Yeah, you are reading the classified ads. Listings for some sort of listing here for music equipment. You know, you're going through the classifieds, and out of the corner of your eye, you see one of the folks from the warehouse. One of the agents from the warehouse is now following this guy dressed in like a blue jacket and khakis. Seems to be headed your way.
I'm going to lean further back into the bench and relax a little bit, prop one of my legs up on the other, just nonchalant.
He walks past and gives you a smile and nods to you as if to say, "Follow me." It's subtle, but you pick up on it.
Yeah.
You see Tegan's character chowing down on a hot dog, following this guy.
My mouth is full of hot dog. And I'll be like, all right, let's go.
And I'm just going to stare at you like, could you be any less discreet? And I'm going to wait until they're 10 or 15 paces ahead of me. And then I'll hold up the newspaper and kind of casually just, get my stuff together, pick up my briefcase and head off after them. Casually, not this, yeah, let's go, come on.
Okay, fair enough. Dr. Weber, while you're likely looking at some of the many different birds that are here available in the park.
Very awkwardly standing around, yep. Not nonchalant at all, but I mean, people birdwatch in a park.
You hear footsteps behind you. Sounds like 2 or 3 people are walking up behind you.
Mm-hmm.
You turn slightly and you see the aforementioned man and then the aforementioned person who's with you in the warehouse.
Yes.
And the man says to you with a relatively pleasant smile, "We're going to get started."
Oh, okay. That's great.
Follow along.
Erin looks like she's trying to be nonchalant in the way that it's very obvious that she's trying to be nonchalant. When you try to walk too casually.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna catch up to her and tap her shoulder and link my arm through hers. Like, no, let's slow down a minute. It'll be fine.
He walks due, we'll say east, and he arrives at a series of mostly empty chess tables. There are a few gentlemen playing further down the line at one of the tables, but there's probably a 4 or 5 table gap between where he ends up and any other prying people, potentially prying for that matter. And for you, Elliot, a middle-aged man along with several of your former warehouse associates arrive at the chess tables.
I'll follow along, keep a little bit of distance, and keep a watch out.
He stops and takes a seat at one of the tables, gathers folks around, even people who eventually tarry for a period of time. He waits.
I'm going to sit, and I'm going to pull a notepad and pen out of my briefcase.
He gives you a slight smile. So as some of you may be aware, my name is Marcus. He unzips his jacket a little bit and takes out a leather valise case, a very thin one, and sets it on the chessboard table. I've got a few things I need to tell you. I can take a few questions. That's it. Are we understood?
I give a thumbs up.
A nod.
I nod.
You've all been given written clearance to assist the FBI in collecting and cataloging evidence from a location of interest in a woman's disappearance and possibly her kidnapping. The woman's name in question is Abigail Wright.
W.R.?
W.R. Dr. Weber, he hands you the leather case.
Oh, I take it.
Inside the case are temporary credentials for all of you. You'll find a few things in there. The article on Abigail's disappearance that was covered in the New York Post. You'll find the address of the building that she used to live in, the McAllister building. What we know is very little, unfortunately, but we do know that there was an occult symbol that was found amongst some of the items in her apartment. The main thrust of what we're trying to do is collect the evidence. There is a significant amount of it to collect and catalog. Because of the amount of evidence, at least from what I understand, the process could take a couple of days. If you find anything unnatural, you're to stop it or destroy it. Some of you may know a little bit better what that means, but I think all of you have got a good idea. It's better to destroy it than not to. There are a couple of photographs of Abigail in the valise case there. Give you an idea of what she looked like. You can all tell he's pretty tight-lipped about basically everything he says. Anytime someone walks by when he's talking, he stops. Anytime someone gets close or appears to be walking towards him, he turns to someone else at the table as to not talk directly at or in view of anyone. He doesn't even seem to do it on purpose. For those of you who have enough hument, he is doing it completely subconsciously. He's just doing it by reflex.
I feel like Aaron, there are moments where Aaron goes to ask a question or starts to put a hand up or open her mouth, but he directs away from her so fast that she just backs down. I have a question, but I don't think I should ask it.
Am I picking up any weird vibes off this dude? This seems pretty generic. This is just a missing girl, right? Why is he being so tight-lipped about this? What does he mean by strange, weird stuff and destroying it?
You're not really certain. You'd probably have to ask. You don't get any intention off of him other than he seems very concerned about this missing girl. And he mentions cataloging and accounting for the evidence left over in her apartment.
So I'm going to ask him after he lays down the kind of skeleton information we have. Are you our point of contact?
I am.
How do we contact you?
Encrypted email or phone. If you need to meet me face to face, you send an encrypted email. Or you call this number. He presents a card, which just has a telephone number on it.
Perfect. I will take it and put it in my briefcase.
Let's just be clear. When you call me, I will tell you where to meet me. That's how this works. If we have to meet face to face after this, you need to account for all of your waking hours.
Wait, Marcus, can you repeat that again? Account for all of our waking hours? Is that what you said?
That's exactly what I said.
Well, that's a weird thing to say, don't y'all think? Well, I feel like that's a weird thing. Is that a weird thing?
It is strange, yes. And you said us destroy because last time I was in a situation, there was like a number that gentleman called and then they took care of it.
From what I understand of the report of that situation, that was something very specific. Dealt with some of the same sort of material you deal with in your day-to-day life.
Yes.
I don't believe that's a concern necessarily here.
Okay.
So, are we tracking this girl down, or are we just... How long ago did she disappear?
It's in the briefcase. Your first and top priority is to get into her apartment, to catalog what is there, piece by piece, and get rid of anything that doesn't need to be put into an evidence locker. Right? Now, from what I understand, there's some weird symbol they found in that room. Something strange. Something demonology based.
And you said we got written clearance to assist. Are they expecting us?
They are.
Are we going to be able to walk in? Okay. And if I'm picking up what you're putting down, there's probably some discretion you would like us to use in terms of what evidence actually gets into the evidence locker, the official evidence locker.
Correct. That's why you're being sent into this building.
All right. Yeah, I agree with the young buck over here. It just feels like there's a lot of a lot of subterfuge to get to this point, which is sounds like a pretty straightforward evidence clear. So, something else you ain't sharing with us here, Marcus?
There's a ton of things I'm not sharing with you. He seems to sort of break face. That's sort of my job. I share exactly what you need to know on a need-to-know basis.
Okay. But an example of something we might need to know is a danger that might kill us. Is there something like that maybe we need to know?
There are currently members of the FBI on site. You're going to walk in and look like friendlies. That's the whole point.
Okay.
If there was something more dangerous, I'm sure, 1, we would be briefed, and 2, there wouldn't be any friendlies on site because they would be dead.
That's sort of an aggressive viewpoint, but one that you could certainly take. The whole purpose of this thing that we do is to deal with problems before they become problems for other people, right? That's part of this. We're asking the 4 of you to go in there and deal with a problem. Anything looks weird, anything looks fucked up, put it in a bag and burn it. Because it can have an effect on you. Ergo, my statement about accounting for every waking hour if we have to have a face-to-face meeting. Because sometimes when people see things, they lose themselves. Don't get lost.
Well, I guess all we can do then is dive in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Great. You all want to maybe head over to this diner over here and take a look at this case before we get into the apartment building then? Thank you, Marcus. You've been wonderful.
I have a better idea.
Oh, great. Let's hear it, young buck.
We're going to be here for a couple of days. We need a place to stay. So instead of open up this packet and looking at it in a diner, why don't we get a couple of rooms and we just check stuff out there? What do you think? We'll order some, I don't know, Chinese food. I know I just ate a hot dog, but I'm in New York City.
You're a growing boy. You need the food, I'm sure.
I guess that's fine. We can do that. I mean, I probably won't stay with you all.
Well, no, we got 2 guys and 2 gals. Wait, are you from here?
No.
Is the team then going to get a couple of hotel rooms then? Is that the idea?
We could get a room. Okay, even if we don't all stay there just as a base of operations, right? To work out of, and then we have discrete places to talk that none of us are staying at or live at permanently, but it will, and then we can, because we gather evidence and I like cataloging things and we can catalog it there. So it's like a work room. Let me see what's in this. Is there like a credit card in here or anything, or cash, or?
You see what looks like about $2,000.
Okay, we have some cash to cover it.
We get one of those. We get a pair of rooms with a shared door. That's 2 queen-size beds, so it's not freaking creepy if we go down and say, hey, can I get 4 cards for room 108? Like we're having an orgy up there or something. We can have like 2 separate rooms.
You go to a hotel. You get some adjoining rooms. In that adjoining room space, you begin going through this briefcase.
I'm showing this to the people in the room. I'm like, look, I'm Owen O'Neill. Who are you?
Oh, you can call me FBI Special Agent Olivia Dartford.
I'm Special Agent Oscar Bennett. Nice to meet you.
I am FBI Agent Ophelia Ward. As I'm sure, Agent, you would prefer to be called Agent insert name. I would also prefer to be called Agent Ward for this operation.
You find a few things within the valise case, or that leather case that you have, Agent Dartford. You get the address to the McAllister building.
Mm-hmm.
That's 210 East 32nd Street. There appears to be an FBI report inside it as well. There's a pair of freshly made keys that say "Do not duplicate." They are stamped with an apartment number on them. And then you also get a Polaroid photograph.
It's been missing since June. Beginning of early June.
Yeah, that means she's dead.
So there's a newspaper article.
New York Post, July 10th, 95. Missing artist prompts new fears in Kips Bay by Raymond Diaz. For those who knew artist Abigail Wright, her disappearance from her Kips Bay co-op around June 4th is a mystery. Authorities have been frustrated in their efforts to find the young woman, last seen near her apartment at East 32nd Street and 2nd Avenue. According to a source familiar with the case, early leads have collapsed. A month on, Chief Detective Graham Giradana says that New York PD is no closer to locating Wright. The source also said a strange and disturbing collection of items had been found in Wright's apartment, including medical supplies, books, and machinery. Wright's neighbors maintained that all was fine with her and nothing indicated she was in danger or planning to leave. Her apartment was locked from the inside. A rise in break-ins, muggings, assaults in the neighborhood prompted youth leader Anthony Scott to comment, "It is well known in the neighborhood that after 5 p.m. the sidewalks roll up and the police are nowhere to be found, particularly on foot." Scott said that people walking around after dark in the area are watching their backs, or should be. I'm going to write down this Scott dude's name, some youth leader in the area, as well as the dude that wrote the article and the detective.
Okay. What else are you guys going to look through?
Is there anything on the back of the Polaroid?
The back of the Polaroid and a sticker says Write A 1 June 94.
Do we need to read the case file, like out loud?
I think that would be an excellent idea, Agent.
At the top, there is identifying information, including her name, Abigail Laura Wright, birthday May 3rd, 1969, Caucasian, languages English, some Spanish, hair color light brown, eye color brown, height 5 foot 6 inches, weight 120 pounds, sexuality straight, other missing since 4 June 95. Abigail Laura Wright, Caucasian woman, age 26, a successful fine artist, is missing from her apartment in Manhattan. She was last seen 4 days before she was reported missing on 4 June 1995 by her father, Nassau County Police Officer Thomas Wright, Caucasian man, age 50. Abigail Wright lived in Manhattan for 7.5 years. In that time, she only went to the police once to report a mugging in 1994, unsolved. She had a distinguished academic record and an impressive list of credentials and former clients. Late last year, her first show was held at the Mercury, a trendy art gallery downtown on Franklin Street. She managed to sell 15 pieces, and with this money, she took a half year off to paint. 6 months later, she disappeared on or around 1st of June 1995. NYPD entered her studio in the McAllister Building at East 32nd Street in the Kips Bay neighborhood of Manhattan on the 4th of June 1995. Every available surface was covered in junk, glued or taped to the walls. Only the floor remained clear, the rug yanked up to reveal battered linoleum surface. Among the junk were sets of dentures, partial dentures, a 1940s wheelchair, modern and antique artificial limbs, dozens of shirts, shoes, and briefcases, assorted radios spanning several decades, some still operational but mundane, all manner of jewelry, earrings, rings, and necklaces, and thousands of papers of all designs and ages, some in Spanish, some in Mandarin, and even a college economics report in Farsi. Almost all these items were glued to the wall with a fast-setting cheap full-bond epoxy. There were no obvious signs of a struggle or any sort of violence, and the neighbors offered no useful testimony. Detectives investigated several leads but uncovered nothing. The apartment remained a crime scene and was visited 4 times by the NYPD, but only twice by detectives due to backlog. And then it's marked confidential, classified. Next page. 2 months later, on 4th of August 1995, Wright's credit card was used in Patience, Maryland, to purchase a pack of Old Gold cigarettes. The case was given to the New York FBI as a possible kidnapping. After some re-examination, the tenants of the building and Wright's associates and friends came to see the dead end, which stopped the NYPD. Employees at the gas station where Wright's credit card was used had no recollection of the transaction and did not recognize Wright from photographs. The signature on the receipt was her name, but not her handwriting. The gas station had no surveillance cameras.
So I think Agent O'Neill is going to get out a pad of paper and draw a line down the center. On the left side of the pad, I'm writing down all the nouns in that report. Just locations, names. On the right side of the paper are bullet point dates.
I was definitely doing something similar, but not on the same lines. Basically just taking some shorthand notes, some key people, that sort of thing.
It does seem that you have a mystery on your hands at the very least. It also seems like in the near future, you're going to go visit the McAllister building. But that is not going to happen tonight. We're going to take a quick pause here on our run through of Impossible Landscape to give you, the audience, a breather, an opportunity for an intermission. Use the bathroom, get a snack, and then come see us again when we're back on stage. Thank you and good night.